Let's find some inverse functions. As long as you follow these super consistent steps every time, they're really pretty easy to do. The very first thing that you want to do is to replace your f of x with a y. So I'm going to cancel this f of x and let's go ahead and just call it y instead. It's just going to make the algebra so much easier. The second step is to solve for x. So we're going to solve for x next, which means we really want to isolate where that x is. It lives right here, so I want to start by subtracting a 1 from both sides. So as we're solving, we end up with y minus 1 is equal to negative 4x. I'm almost there. My x is just multiplied by a negative 4. So let's go ahead and divide everything by negative 4. And I get y minus 1 divided by negative 4 is equal to x. Okay, we're almost there. Step number 3, we need to do an x, y swap. I really don't want y to be my variable inside my function. I want x to be my variable inside my function. So I'm going to replace this y with an x, and I'm going to replace this x with a y. Let's write it in blue so you can see what I did. So x minus 1 instead of y minus 1 divided by negative 4 is equal to y. One more step. This is the easiest step. Instead of calling this y, it really is our brand new function f inverse. So let's go ahead and write our final answer. Instead of y, it's f inverse. So f inverse of x is equal to x minus 1 divided by negative 4. And this is our answer. And if you take a look, you can do a really quick check to make sure that you've got exactly what you want. In the original function, we added a 1, but in our inverse function, we're subtracting a 1. These should all be the opposite operations. In the original function, I multiplied by a negative 4. In my inverse function, I instead am dividing by a negative 4. So I'm feeling great about this answer. Here comes the next one. For this one, we again want to find the inverse function, and this time I've got f of x is equal to 1 over x minus 2. I'm going to go through those same steps. The first thing that I want to do is replace this f of x with y. So y is equal to 1 over x minus 2. Step number 2, we are going to solve for x. Okay, as we're solving, I need to add that 2 to both sides. So plus 2, I end up with y plus 2 is equal to 1 over x. I need to cross multiply or multiply both sides by an x. If I multiply both sides by an x, I can cancel the x over here on the right-hand side. I get a 1, and over here I get an x times y plus 2. Now remember, I'm solving for x, and I just about have it, right? All I need to do is to divide by that y plus 2. So I'm going to divide by the y plus 2. Divide by y plus 2. So now I'm going to write it in white here. X is equal to 1 over y plus 2. Now I'm almost there. I still need to do my xy swap. So step number 3, let's do our xy swap, which means that I get a y over here and an x where the y was. So I can rewrite that as, instead of x equals, y equals 1 over x plus 2, and I'm almost done. I just need to rename this as f inverse. So step number 4, not just a generic y, but this is my f inverse of x is equal to 1 over x plus 2. And we've got our answer. Now, sometimes we need to think about the domain and make sure it lines up with our inverse function. In the next one, we're going to have to think about that domain. Here it comes. So in this one, I want to find the inverse function of the square root of x minus 3. Now, if I take a look at what the square root of x minus 3 looks like, it's going to be my square root function shifted over to the right by 3. 1, 2, 3. You can also check that domain algebraically, but it looks like this. And my original function has a domain of, let's see, that's going to start at 3. So 3 to infinity. And my range are going to be those y values. 0 is the smallest y value, and then it goes on up. Nothing is below the x-axis. So my range is, it does include 0, 0 to infinity. So as I'm finding the inverse function, I can actually do it visually really, really well. Remember that xy swap? It literally is an xy swap. On my original function, I have this point 3, 0. On my inverse function, I need to replace these or switch those, and instead that's going to be the point 0, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let me draw this in blue. So now I've got the point 0, 3. There's my xy swap. This also means that it needs to be a mirror image across this diagonal, y equals x, and it ends up like this. So I end up with just half of a parabola. So we're going to make sure that we've got the correct domain when we're finished doing our steps. But the steps are going to be exactly the same as we saw before. So step number 1, instead of writing f of x, I'm going to write y equals square root of x minus 3. Step number 2, we are solving for x. We're going to get that x all by itself. To get there, I need to square both sides. So I end up with y squared is equal to the square root and the square undo each other, and I get just x minus 3. So close. I'm going to add that 3 to both sides, and I get y squared plus 3 is equal to x. So I've got it. I just need to do my xy swap. Let's go ahead and put that up here. Step number 3. So with my xy swap, I need an x here and a y here. I'm going to write the y first. So y is equal to, that's going to be x squared plus 3. And for my inverse function, so this is step number 4, instead of y, I'm going to write f inverse. F inverse of x is equal to x squared plus 3. But x squared plus 3 is my entire parabola shifted up 3. So it looks like this. I only want half of my parabola. I just want this half over here on the right-hand side. Well, to do that, remember the xy swap. I need to take the range of my original function, and I'm going to write that as the domain. This is swapping x's with y. I'm swapping domain and range, if you can read my sideways writing there. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the domain is going to be the same as the range for my original. 0 to infinity. You could also say instead, for, I only want the x's on the right side of that graph, so for x greater than or equal to 0. So we've got to be careful to make sure that our inverse is just giving us back what we want. Here comes another one. So we're again going to look for f inverse. If you want to get ahead of me, you're welcome to. You probably are getting those 4 steps down now. Instead of f of x, we're going to write this as y equals 1 over x minus 1. So I'm going to cross multiply here. So y times the x minus 1 is equal to, it would just be 1 times 1, right? So I get my 1 there. Remember that my goal here in step 2 is to get the x all by itself. So I do need to multiply this y through. So I get y times x minus 1 times y, which is y, is equal to 1. I'm really keeping an eye on that x term. Here it is. So I need to add the y to the other side. So plus y plus y. Look how close we are now. Y times x is equal to 1 plus y. Let's divide everybody by y, so I get x by itself. So x is equal to 1 plus y over y. You could leave it like this, or you could split it up into 2 separate fractions. Everybody needs to be divided by a y. So you could also write this as 1 over y plus y over y, which would give us x equals 1 over y plus 1. Okay, we need our xy swap. So step number 3, xy swap. So for my xy swap, we end up with, instead of x, I want a y here and I want an x here. So we get y is equal to 1 over x plus 1. And then finally, step number 4, I'm going to call that my inverse function. F inverse of x is equal to 1 over x plus 1. And I've got my function. Now, x can't be 0 here, so we could go ahead and throw 0 out as well, but it's also understood in that function, and I've got my final inverse function. You guys are doing great. Take a look at this next video. Thanks so much for watching.